background, Phil. I just realized that. I will be right back. Haha, that's funny. Now you know my secret. Oh, it's crooked. Oh well, I'm not gonna worry about it now. Um, anyway, uh, today is May 17th, 2026, National Day of Prayer. If you did not know, today they had the whole weekend, they've had a rededication ceremony for the country to be rededicated back to the Lord. I've been watching it today. Today's the first day I've actually seen somebody streaming it. So it was on. I'm pretty sure you could go back and probably watch it somewhere. I would assume it'll be probably, replayed if you want to. I know when they did the Bible reading at the Bible Museum, you can go back and watch that. So I would assume you can go back and watch it. It was all day. It was had different speakers and different worship songs, and it was a pretty cool. None of the main people were live, so I'm assuming it was because of security reasons they were not live, which kind of stinks because I was looking forward to, hearing them speak live, but they were all like either pre-recorded or live on a video. However they were doing it, I'm not sure, but either way, you can go back and see all that stuff. It's right now it's Chris Tomlin singing, so I'm not sure if he's supposed to end it out or someone will be after him. I'm not really sure. So you could probably catch it now. I know it's been streaming on Facebook, so if somebody wants to catch on to it. But anyway, I started talking about that instead of even introducing myself in case you're a new person. This is the 84th episode of Melissa Loves to Talk. I'm Melissa Johnson, and today I'm going to talk about our country actually was founded on Christianity, even though people want to say that it was not. They want to make up all this stuff, well, mostly because that's the enemy. If it was not, they wouldn't be rededicating the country back to God if it was never dedicated to God in the beginning, right? So you can look at the original documents. If you know anything about why, the pilgrims came here, is because they didn't want to live in England and didn't want to serve God the way you had to in England. Like England, you had to be the religion they told you to be in England. You could not have different religions. So you had to serve God that way. And so people came here to get away from that, to have freedom of religion, so they could have a different religion. They wanted to serve God, but just a different way than the way they did it in England. Again, not really sure why. I don't know if it was something, a crazy thing, but they didn't like the way they did it, so they wanted to do it themselves. So they wanted to serve God. It wasn't they wanted to serve other gods or all these things. They wanted to serve the same God. They just didn't like the way it was done there. They didn't like the way they did things. And that's how I think like the different denominations came in this country, because everybody wanted to serve God, the same God, just differently. Which is, that's people's prerogative, how they want to serve God. I serve God exactly the way Bible says, full gospel. Like everything that's in the Bible pertains to us. And that's how I serve God. But I know a lot of religions do not serve God that way. And that's up to them, and that's their prerogative. But the way this country started is because of God. They wanted to serve God how they wanted to. They didn't want to be forced to serve God the way they want, that the government wanted. So they came here Well, there was no government here, so they could do whatever they wanted, right? They didn't have to answer to somebody. But, after a while, England, I guess, technically did have control over this country because they were from there. And then finally, they didn't want to be controlled at all from England. And that's when, we had the Revolutionary War and we became a free country. And that's when we got our independence and the Declaration of Independence was formed. And then a few years later, 11 years later, is that right? Yeah. 11 years later, they made the Constitution. So I'm going to show you where in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution where it points you straight to God. The Constitution I'm not going to read. I'm not exactly sure where exactly it says, all the stuff. I'm just going to read you pretty much the preamble. And then the Declaration of Independence, it's an actual whole paragraph. It's about that long. I am going to read you that. And you have to have the two together. The Declaration of Independence and the Constitution are technically one and the same. They go together. We declared our independence from England and made us a sovereign, independent nation. And then the Constitution is where our rights came into play, where that was our law. And that's how we formed all of our stuff to make us independent. This was our law-abiding Constitution on how the government runs. So I guess I'll look through it and see if I can find it quick on exactly where it says all that stuff. But I know definitely the Declaration of Independence is right in the beginning, so I can read that part. But this is going to help people when they hear our country isn't Christianity values, this is that. It is freedom of religion. Don't get me wrong. It is freedom of religion in this country, but the country was founded on Christianity. This is a Christian nation, and people want to take it over. People don't want this country to be a Christian nation because they're the enemy. So people that are Christians, even if they're different denominations, it's fine as long as they are serving the same God we're serving. They believe in Jesus Christ. The other ones are the ones that want to divide us and want to take us out so that they're gods that are demonic to take over, like Islam is the main one. Most of the other ones are not violent. So even like Buddhist, even Satan worshipers, they're not even violent. If you know, they don't bother us. They do their thing. They're not violent towards us. They're not constantly doing things towards us. So that should tell you something right there, that there's a problem when the religion is violent. And that's the reason why we say the things we say against Islam. Not because they serve Allah, blah, 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 blah. That's not the problem. It's the problem of how violent they are and the laws that they serve that are not under our Constitution. They're completely against our Constitution. If you want to understand, okay? So our laws is monogamy. You can only be married to one person. You can't be married to four. In Sharia law, they have 4 wives. Okay? You can't marry 9-year-olds in our country. That's called pedophilia. They marry 9-year-olds. Okay? So, again, against our laws. Also, they beat and rape their wives and other women and other men, honestly. And that is against our law. And so when people say it's a religion, they have the right to be doing the things they're doing. They do not, because of the things they do that are so against our laws. And if people would just do research, which I know everyone is so lazy, which is amazing considering how many times you play, how much hours you spend on watching YouTube videos or, TikTok videos or playing video games, but you can't research is just hilarious to me. Or you just don't want to know. You don't really want to know the truth, is where I get it. I think you just don't want to know the truth when you can just Google stuff. I mean, you can watch live videos, not live video. Well, you might be able to see live videos of men beating their wives, burning them with acid, women being stoned to death because they were said to be adulterous. They don't have to be for real. They can just be said, someone can accuse them of it, and they get stoned to death, even if they didn't do it. They don't get a court. You don't get to have a hearing. You don't have to have a jury. It's so-and-so said you were cheating on your husband, and you get stoned to death. That's how Sharia law works. So this is the problem with Islam. Not because they serve a different God or whatever. It's not about that. Because again, Buddhist, even like I said, Satan worshipers, they're not violent. They're not breaking laws. They're doing their own thing. You do you, boo. Right? Okay. So I'm going to read the First Amendment, because I'm going to read the exact wording of the First Amendment, and you see what you think about it. Mostly because the freedom of speech is misinterpreted also. So I'm just going to read the whole thing. So first I'm going to read the Declaration of Independence, the whole long paragraph, because of course that was the first document. So I'm going to read that. Sorry, it is a little long, but it is very interesting, and it's good for you to know exactly your independence, because this country is the greatest country ever. And that is why they keep trying to tear this country down, because it is such a great country. We have so many freedoms. And the enemy hates that. So, and again, yesterday I talked about the enemy, who the enemy was. Right? So, here we go. Oops. Sorry, I thought I got out of that. Okay. In Congress, July 4th, 1776, the unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. When in the course of human events, it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them. A decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them into the separation. So this is saying this is why they wanted to be separate, because it was God's nature, and the powers, they didn't want the political powers controlling them, is pretty much what it says. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing the powers to such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transit causes. And accordingly, all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffering, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms for which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invaluable the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government. The history of the present King of Great Britain is history of repeated injuries and usurpation, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. So again, that's a whole bunch of, sorry, some of the words I cannot see because I have on my old glasses. I'm sorry. So it's saying they're explaining why they wanted to be separate, because the government was controlling, and so they took it upon themselves to be free. And it says if it becomes a problem, it literally says we the people, well, that one part doesn't say, but it says the people, if they feel that they are not being governed correctly, they can start the government over. They can overthrow the government and take over the government and do it all over again. And again, it says life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That is what we are given by God. Okay? So life is you're being born from your mother. So when you're killing babies in the womb, you are taking away their life, and they no longer have the right to live. Liberty is your freedoms. So that's where you get the freedom, which is going to be the Constitution. When you have your rights, is your freedom. And then the pursuit of happiness, of course, is to be happy in a free country where you get to have opportunities that other countries do not have. So there it says, these are rights given by God. So therefore, this is the very first document that was formed to form our country. It says these rights are given by God, which means it is a Christian nation. It was a whole bunch of blah, 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 because it is also written in the 1700s, which that is their language. We don't talk that way anymore, but overall, you get the concept of what I was reading. Okay, now we'll look at the Constitution. Like I said, I'm going to just do the preamble, but I am going to find the First Amendment and actually read you the First Amendment. So in school, we had to learn this and say it in front of the class, but that was really a long time ago, so I don't really remember the whole thing. But we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. We, the people, is what this country is for. Okay? Now, the articles will start saying what the government's supposed to do. Again, I'm not going to read all that. You can go back. I literally just Googled this, and it gave me the whole the whole Constitution. Where are the... Shoot. Sorry. I don't know what my thing's doing. It's moving by itself. What is it doing? Okay. My mouse is acting up. Let me just literally look up the First Amendment, because my mouse is acting crazy. Okay, so I'm going to read the whole thing, and then you take it how you would want to take it. The First Amendment to the United States Constitution, ratified in 1791, protects several fundamental rights. It guarantees freedom of religion, speech, press, assembly, and the right to petition the government for redress. I don't know, of grievances. Specifically it prohibits Congress from making laws that establish a religion or restrict the free exercise of religion, and it ensures that individuals can express themselves without government interference. This amendment is a cornerstone of American democracy, safeguarding individuals' liberties and promoting a free society. So this is where it's saying you cannot have laws that prohibit any of these things. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, press, assembly, which is assembly of church, or protesting. And the right to petition the government, which is also, it's all protesting. So if you're going to protest, you have the right to protest. Let's see if I can find out a little bit more. If it gives you, okay, this is a little bit more. It says, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging freedom of speech or of press or the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Okay, so that means, so petition the government, which means you can, go to the government and say, I don't agree with this. You have a right to do that as an American citizen, where a lot of countries you cannot do that. You can't go to the government and say, we don't agree with what you're doing. Here you can. Okay, so that's what that is. So that's why it's saying that the Congress should make no laws against these, and which they keep trying to do. They keep trying to make laws against all this stuff. And then peaceably assembling is when this is, I just realized that I'm talking. I never switched it over. Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. Never mind. I never switched it over. I am so sorry. Well, that's kind of good because you didn't see where I messed up. So when they say you have to have a, what is it called? Or you have to have a permit to protest. That's against the law by the Constitution. They are not to make any laws that keep you from protesting. And they cannot tell you that you cannot be on this side of the sidewalk. You have to go on this side of the sidewalk to have freedom of speech. That's against the Constitution. So it's not supposed to be, okay, you have to have, all these things to be able to protest. No, I can protest wherever I want by the First Amendment. And they want to suppress us from speaking and protesting. As long as you're being peaceful, which means you're on the sidewalk, you're not in the traffic, you're not yelling in someone's face, you're not pushing them, you're not touching them, you're walking down the street with a sign, or you're yelling. You're allowed to yell, just not in people's faces, because you shouldn't be doing that. People have personal space. Okay? So these are all things that God has given us a right to do. That's why it's a Christian nation. It says it right in the Declaration of Independence, and it says in the Constitution. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We have these rights that are given from God. Again, you can go back and look all these things up. I'm sure you don't want me reading them to you. You'll be falling asleep. I'll be falling asleep trying to read all these documents, considering the wording of it is 1787. But another reason why now this is my opinion. Okay. This is not a document somewhere that you're going to find. This is just my opinion on why I believe that the Bible is real. And not because so many things have happened personally for me. Okay, that is all true. That is 1000% true. So many good things have happened to me. And I know that it's because of God, because it's biblical. I could go back where it says, God will do this, God will do that. And that's happened. Okay. But another reason why I know that it's real is because how many people come against it. Nobody's going against Muslims. Nobody's going against Buddhists. Nobody's going against Satan worshipers. You literally worship Satan and nobody goes against you. Right? No one's saying, oh my gosh, you're wrong. How dare you be a Satan worshiper? Nobody does that. Who gets persecuted? Who gets martyred? Christians. You don't see, and Jews, okay? So they're the two people that get martyred and persecuted. So there you go. There's your proof. Because in the Bible it says you will have persecution. You will. So there's something that happens. So that makes it real, right? That means it's the truth because God said it. You will be persecuted because of my name. That's what Jesus literally said. And it's what happens. We were talking about Stephen in Sunday school this morning, and she did a statistic, and she said 300 million Christians have been killed, been martyred. 300 million Christians. How many Buddhists do you think have been killed? I don't know, but I bet you not 300 million. And I forget what year it was from, what the year to, it was as of 2021. So it's not even the last 5 years where so many were killed in Nigeria. It didn't even count those. And you look at it, again, who gets mocked? Not even if you're getting persecuted, okay? You're not getting death threats. You're not getting beat up, but you get mocked, right? How many people mock Jesus? Probably on a daily basis. Go ahead on the internet. You can probably hear all kinds of mockery. Another reason why I believe it's true. Not because of the things he's done for me, because I know those happen. They're real. They've happened. I know I feel the Holy Spirit. I know the Holy Spirit's real. But I'm saying without not even those things. So this country was founded on God, and it's Christianity that founded this country. And the Lord protects this country and blesses this country because, you know what? They were searching for him. And he honors and blesses that because the people that came here in the 1600s fleeing England were running and searching for God. That's why they came here. They wanted to freely worship God, not being told, hey, you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way. You know what I imagine? Again, this is how my brain works. I just imagine them, you know, I know all the things happened before, you know, a lot of people died on the way here. People died when they got here. Yes, the Native Americans helped them. And all these things. Yes. But when they had their first Thanksgiving, I just imagine they just break out and worship, right? They're just worshiping their God for saving them, making it in their first year. Everything, people die in war, in finding your independence, right? People die coming to this country still to today, right? They'll still swim here if they have to. So it's the greatest country if you're swimming to get here. Because I wouldn't swim to get any other country. I don't want to go to any other country. I've been to well, technically more than 2 countries because when you're flying, you have a layover. So I guess technically 3 countries, but the one country I didn't go into it. I was in the airport. So I won't count that. But I've been in 2 countries. And both of those countries were really nice. The people were nice. But I wouldn't want to live there. Like at the time when I was there, I was like, man, this would be really nice to live here because it was like very easy going and you don't have to worry about things like you do in America. It was just everybody was just living their lives and it was, everybody was nice and pleasant and friendly and you didn't have what you have here, but it was so much poverty and the government controlled everything. And I was like, man, I'm so glad I don't live there. As much as I love the people there. I loved the people so much there. They were just so full of joy. And even though they were so poor, they loved the Lord and they didn't care that they were poor. And I love that the most. In the other country I was in, we were on vacation. So that you only see the good part, except for we did go where we were on the beach. It was weird because it was like a marketplace right there as we're on the beach. We're on the beach and there's like a whole marketplace where you could look at and everybody kept coming up to us to try to get us to buy things and so you could see how poor they were. But again, they were also still friendly and, weren't really like trying to take advantage, where the other country did try to take advantage of us because we were Americans. I will say that. Like they thought we were rich because that's what they said. When you think of America, what do you think of? And you're like rich people. And I was like, well, baby, I don't even have a job, so I am not rich. Okay. But we have more than they do. So they look at us like we're rich. Like I went there, I had lost my job the day before. So I went there and I'm like, I don't even have a job. So I'm not rich. Okay. I'm about to go home and figure out how the heck I'm paying bills. But the other place, we didn't even really talk to them about that stuff. We just asked them how they're doing, And then of course, like I said, they just kept wanting to sell us things. So when you think that countries are better than ours, no, they're not. And yes, this is just 2 examples. You are correct. There's people that's been to millions of, well, not millions, but they've been to, what did Ben Carson say today? They've been to 45 countries, I think he said. Him and his wife have been to 45 countries, and none of them are as great as this country. 45 countries, that's a good, way to examine. Oh, 45 countries, that's a lot of countries. And to say, nope, our country's still the best. 45 countries, ours is still number 1. So that's pretty impressive to me. So why do you think that is? Because our country is founded on Christianity. God blesses our country. That's why we have, money. I know people are poor here, but they're not poor like they are like other countries. Like I said, the country I went to last year, their money is Ari. 4,400 Ari is $1. So that's poor. I literally could go, I went there and got a bag of coffee, a regular size bag of coffee that would be $5 or $6 here. It was $2.50 there. And it was really good coffee. I just bought it at their little convenience store. Well, I guess it would be their grocery store. It was a full grocery store. So it was $2.50 for really good coffee because it's all natural coffee that they grow there for $2.50. That would probably be between $6 and $8 here. Now, I bought a whole bunch of candy bars. Everybody said they didn't really like the candy bars. Probably because the woman there said, make sure it's at least 65%. And so it was all 65%, which that's not what we eat here. We usually eat about 30% cocoa. And so I think that's why everybody was like, oh, those candy bars weren't really that good. But I think that's why. It's because they were, the good chocolate, not the chocolate we eat here. It's made from all natural stuff. It doesn't have a whole bunch of preservatives in it like it is here. So, and those candy bars, they were big candy bars, like about this big, and they were like, I think $1.50, something like that. And again, they were good candy bars. So the candy bars that I got for $1.50 are probably $4 or $5 here. And they have a whole bunch of junk in them, where the ones there are all natural. So that's what I'm just saying is, like, everybody says all this bad stuff about America that lives here. And, oh, Tanya, I probably have one left. I can bring it to you. It should still be good. I mean, I have had it since last year, but it should still be good. So I could let you try it if you want. I actually found it yesterday cleaning my room. So it's been on my little bin. If you want to try it. I don't know how good it is now, but we can try it. I haven't tried it all. I gave all my candy bars away to everybody. I gave them to everybody for Christmas presents. So, I didn't really keep anything for myself that I bought, besides the coffee. I drank all the coffee, but everything else I gave away that I, bought while I was there. But anyway, so this country, it's just so great. I mean, you just don't understand if you have never left this country or you don't research other countries on how great this country is. And it is because of Christianity. God blesses this country because we serve him. We're not out there idol worshiping mostly. Most of the people are not doing that, I don't think. I mean, sure, there is idol worshiping. I would say there's a lot more idol worshiping now than there used to be. Majority of the people are praying for this country, even if you aren't completely living for the Lord. You're still praying. That's why our country is still blessed. People are praying. It's like Sodom and Gomorrah, right? It was like, if you find 50 people, will you save it? Yes. I can't find 50. Can you find 30? If I find 30, I'll save it. If I find 10, couldn't even find 10. Couldn't even find 10 people that were serving the Lord, and that's why they got burned, because he couldn't find 10 people that were serving the Lord. So that's what's keeping us from being burned up or whatever God has planned. Because we're praying, we're worshiping God. God sees that. God sees how faithful we are. Well, most of the time. Of course, we're not completely faithful because we never will be. But he sees these good things, and that's what saves this country. What would really save this country is 2 Chronicles 7:14. That is what would totally save this country, if people would do that. If my people called by name would humble themselves, turn from their wicked ways, pray, which would turn from your wicked ways, repent, turn your life back to God. Right? Then he'll heal our land. Our land is right now in pain and suffering because of the people turning away from God. He keeps his hand upon us because of those that are living for him and praying and seeking his face. That is why this country is so blessed. Google some of the crazy countries right now. How their people get treated. That's the main thing. People want to look at, oh, the government's this and the government's that. Look how they treat their people. During COVID, yes, they locked stuff down, but you know what? In China, they locked their people in their houses. They couldn't get out of their house. They locked them in their houses. They didn't do that to us. They tried to lock us. What did they do? They didn't come to our house with a gun and make sure we weren't leaving, right? They expected our neighbors to snitch on us. But they didn't come to our house and put guns to our heads and tell us we can't leave. This is because Christianity, because God's hand is upon us. That is why we did not get locked into our houses. When we're out protesting, we're not getting killed like in Iran, where they just shot 10,000 people for protesting. It was more than 10,000. I don't know the exact number. 10,000 just popped in my head, but I know it was more than that. 10,000's grievous enough. They were out protesting, and they were just killed right in the street for protesting. How many people are out protesting and not even being peaceful? These were people were just being peaceful. They're just like, save us. We want a government. We want to be free from our government. That's all they were saying. We have people out here literally laying in the street, busting windows out, throwing bricks at cars, attacking people, and the government's not coming in and wiping them out, right? It's because God's hand is upon this country. That's why that's not happening. So no matter what you think, it's not true. So you can point all these things out to people that want to say this isn't a Christian government or country. Sorry, It's not a Christian government, of course. A Christian nation. Okay. Right. They did try to shut down churches, and there were police at some churches. I do forget that. I forget where I live. They didn't do that. Sorry. They didn't do that where I live. But I know there were a lot of churches. They did go and have police. But do you think they would have really shot them if they went in the church? What do you think they would have did? Locked them up. Okay. They would have got out because of the First Amendment. They didn't try to shoot him in the street. That's the difference. That's what I'm saying. That's the difference. Telling us we can't do something is one thing. Locking us up, okay, you're going to get out of jail for that. Anything's going to happen to you. But shooting you in the street because you're protesting, because you're trying to worship God, because of whatever, that is a country that doesn't have God. Okay? There's the difference. Like, again, they could have arrested people, which I think they did arrest people. I know they were giving people fines. There was many churches that got fines. There were many places that got fines because they kept opening their gyms and restaurants. They got fines. I don't know about getting shot for going into a church or going into a restaurant. I don't think that was happening. If it was, I didn't hear about it, and I would think that would be all over the place if that happened. So that's the difference with this country. Yes, the government will always try to do these things. They try to take over because they're not godly. But the people are. We are. We are godly. So yes, do we have a fight on our hands? Yes, because we're fighting the enemy. Like I said yesterday, we have an enemy. The enemy is the principalities and the darkness. We refuse to gather. You mean like the churches didn't gather because they were afraid? Because there are churches that were closed because of COVID. Yes. Our church did close for, I think, 5 weeks or something like that. And then they opened back up. Even though they were telling churches not to open, our church did open back up. And we were not told to wear a mask either. People did wear a mask. Most of people didn't. There were a few people that did wear a mask. But I know there were churches that stayed closed for months and months and months. Then they made their people wear a mask. I know that happened in northern states. Where I live, it didn't happen. But so I forget some of that did happen. So yes, the government tries to do that. The government wants to try to do that again, right? Because that's what the government does. Because the government is the enemy. We're supposed to be the government, right? I hate to say the government's the enemy. I won't say the government's the enemy. The enemy is in the government. I'll say it that way. I don't want to say the enemy is the government because it's not really them, right? The enemy is in the government. Oh, okay. There you go. Okay, so yeah, they had church outside, which is fine because that's what Greg Locke did. Pastor Greg Locke, they just got a tent and they just had church in the tent. And that's where I followed him a lot during COVID because they had church in the tent, and I just thought that was pretty cool when they wouldn't let them open, which is crazy because it was Tennessee. So I thought that was kind of crazy that they weren't allowed to open their church. But again, it depends because Tennessee technically is that's where my church is. And I live in Georgia. I lived in Georgia then, but the church was in Tennessee because I live, Georgia's 5 minutes from my church. Okay. So the church was in Tennessee, and yes, Tennessee was told not to open their churches, but they did open their church, the church that I go to. In Georgia, things were not closed. Like I am, at least in the area I live in, I won't say in all of Georgia, but in the area I lived in Georgia, nothing closed. None of the restaurants, none of the churches, nothing. And there was no mask mandate. So, we just lived our lives. And when I went to Baltimore to visit, it was like I was in a different country, I felt like, because it was mask mandates and, all these things. And I was like, where am I at right now? Because it was just weird because I didn't deal with any of that. I, lived my life like I did before COVID. I just saw it a lot when I went out of my little bubble in Northwest Georgia. But the government will try to do that because the enemy uses the government, because we are supposed to be the government. I just read it to you. We the people. So we the people have rights that are given by God, not the government. And the founding fathers, that's why they put that in there. They put it. These are rights given by God, not the government. The government can't take our rights away. Life, we deserve to live because God created life. We deserve liberty. We deserve to have freedoms. And the pursuit of happiness. We deserve to be happy. We shouldn't have to fight for our happiness, which is what we have to do all the time, right? We're continually fighting, because the enemy comes to kill, steal, kill, and destroy. If you look up, I actually was wondering why all these things were happening in Nigeria, right? I was like, why is, all these Christians getting killed in Nigeria of all the countries? Like, what is going on in Nigeria? And it was such a strong move of God is in Nigeria. And so that's why they're getting killed, because the move of God, the Muslims don't like that. So they're the ones, just so you know, for our people that think they're peaceful and it's just their religion, they're the ones actually killing Christians in Nigeria. Okay? You can watch tons and tons of videos. You can watch them coming into a church, and they did not kill the people inside the church, the video that I watched, okay? They were just in there, and I don't know what the people were saying that was in there because they were speaking Nigerian, but I can tell you what I would say if I was them. I'd be like, in the name of Jesus, get out of my church. Because they were yelling back and forth, and the people never touched them. They never touched them. They just kept yelling at them and saying whatever they were saying in Nigerian, and they finally left. So I don't know if he could have been saying, hey, in the name of Jesus, get out of here. In the name of Jesus. And he got him out of there because nobody got hurt. They just walked around the church, and the pastor, I guess it was the pastor or somebody, just started telling them, get out, whatever he was saying. They didn't have subtitles or anything. You're just hearing them speaking to each other. But they never put a hand on them. They walked around the church, And I guess they were going to, but then the guy just started yelling at him. Finally, he left. But they are killing lots and lots of Christians in Nigeria. And that's what it was. When I looked it up, it was like the countries that have a strong moving of God, like North Korea. North Korea, you get killed for being a Christian. Okay? So, but to say all that is to say our country is blessed because the hand of God is on it. If not, we'd be living in those kind of things happening. We'd be in church. Now, mind you, it's happened in this country where people busted into the congregation and started doing stuff to people that were in church. Yes, it's happened. But as far as I know, no one's been killed. There has been people assaulted in New York. This just happened about a week ago. You can look it up. It was Jews in the street. They were protesting because New York City is, become a, sorry to say, hellhole. So the Jews were in the streets and the Muslims came and attacked them. Again, who were being the ones that are being violent? But no one got killed that I know of because God's hand is upon his people. He's keeping his hand upon his people. That's why I'm saying this country is blessed, because in other countries, Christians are being slaughtered. And we are protected because this is a Christian nation and God's hand is upon us. So I'm so thankful almost every day. I should do this every day. I don't think to do it every day, but I should. But I'm like, thank you, God, for putting me in America. Thank you, God, for putting me in America now. Although I wouldn't mind being in the 30s because I like those outfits. I like the flapper look. And I kind of like the 50s because I like the poodle skirts. But, and I also would have liked to stay at home with my kids and not had to work. It's little side notes. But I love that I'm in this time because I am living in the times when it's just so crazy right now, right? We have a fantastic president that just tells people what he thinks about them. I know people hate that. I love it so much. I love he just says all the things. I just love it so much. I know everybody gets mad about the things he says. I love everything he says. I don't care what he says. I love it all. I love everything he says. It just cracks me up so much. It literally does. It just, everything. I can say there's times when I'm like, man, I really wish he wouldn't have said that because now he's going to have to take the flack. But I still think it's hilarious. And again, everybody has a First Amendment but him, right? Everybody has freedom of speech but our president. He's not allowed to say things. Oh my gosh, he can't say that. He's the president. Well, he's a United States citizen. He was born here. He has the same rights we do. People, wake up. So I thank God that I was born in this country and this time. I feel like I'm Esther. I was born for such a time as this. I literally feel like that. Like, it's just amazing to live in this time. Sometimes it gets scary because it is kind of scary to think like, oh my goodness, what if we're really in the last days and stuff starts happening and we don't get taken in the rapture right away? What if we have to sit through some of it? Because, there's some that say pre, mid, post. So what if we are here and what if we have to see some of this stuff? So that's kind of scary. And then sometimes it's like, man, that'd be kind of cool to see some of the stuff because you read about it in the Bible and it'd be like, oh, this is like an action-packed movie, right? The Bible's coming to life. A new movie we can make. The Bible in real life. I think of that sometimes. That's how my brain works. But it's just a crazy time to be alive. I'm so thankful that I'm alive right now. Like again, I I've said a lot of times, like, man, I wish I was born in the 30s. I wish I was born in the 50s. Like, I do sometimes because of women could stay home with their kids and the husband went out and worked. I would have loved to that, and how cheap everything was. And like I said, the clothes they wore. I like a lot of the clothes they wore back then. And how respectful women were to themselves, because nowadays women do not respect their bodies, right? Back then they did. They stayed cover up. They weren't showing everything to everyone. So anyway, a little bit of side note about me. If you don't know me, this is how my brain works. But I thank you so much for watching. I am so glad you took your time out of your day to watch me for almost an hour. I am so thankful for anyone that watches this, likes, shares, whatever. Again, if you'd follow me, I am on everything. You can follow me on anything. I'm there. If not, it's something I forgot. I do not do Threads. My friend keeps asking me about Threads, and I'm like, I cannot handle Threads because it is very lefty, and I can't do that stuff because I'll probably say a lot of things that is probably not, I just can't. I can't do that much negativity. It is very, very lefty, and I don't mind arguing with people, but I don't want all that negativity. Most of the time, if I start reading a lot of negativity, I just get off. I can't look at all the comments that are just nothing but negativity. I don't mind you arguing with me. I don't mind you, having your opinion. It's just all the negativity. I just can't do it. I'm really trying not to be negative. And if that's all I'm hearing, then I start getting negative. So, but anything else, like I said, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I am on X. What am I missing? Rumble. Pretty much everything except for I said, like, Threads. I am not on Truth Social. I do have an account, but I've actually never been on it. I'm actually surprised I've not been on it because that's where, the president usually posts everything. But then again, I feel like I'd never have a life because I'd just be looking at that all day and just reposting his post, and that's probably why I don't get on it, because of that. I would just probably just all day just be on there reading his post and going down a whole rabbit hole. So I just thank you for spending the time with me, and anything you can do to support this message, because this is what I'm here for, is to get the truth out to people. And number one, I want people to know their rights, and I want people to know how good God is. Okay, so thank you so much for being with me today, and I will be on tomorrow night. And tomorrow I am going to talk about, I already know, so I'm going to give you a little sneak peek of what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, unless something crazy happens and the Lord changes what I'm talking about. But as of right now, is life and death in the tongue, is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow. Because you know what? This is something I struggle with. So I am going to be really vulnerable with you tomorrow night about that. And I hope that you will join me tomorrow night and get some knowledge about your words. So I hope you have a safe and blessed night, and hope to see you tomorrow. God bless you. Have a great